WordPress is very smart and powerful. As you can already tell, it handled most of the logic for us. It can handle even more logic for us by selecting which templates to load. Right now, we only have one template, which is the index template. However, we can create multiple templates for different pages, such as 404s, single blog posts, pages, archives, and so much more. The question is, how do we make WordPress acknowledge we have multiple templates and which one is meant for which type of page? In the resource section of this lecture, I provide a link to the WordPress template hierarchy. What you'll see here isn't the WordPress Codex. What this actually is a free theme handbook created by WordPress. You'll find a lot of information on how to create themes, and it's especially useful if you're new to theme development. Right now, I've skipped to the template hierarchy chapter of this book. You'll find a diagram here. The diagram shows us the order in which WordPress uses to load a particular template. It starts from left to right. First things first, WordPress will check what kind of page type is being loaded. Is it loading an archive, single post, or maybe a 404 has occurred? Then it'll go through the diagram and try to find the correct file to load. For example, let's say we're on a 404 page. If we look at the diagram and follow the line, you'll see WordPress will first look for a 404.php file. If it finds that file, then it'll use that as a template and stop searching for a template to use. Otherwise, WordPress will just load the index template. Actually, if you take a look at the overall diagram, all points eventually lead to the index template if nothing is found. We could, if we wanted to, just use an index template and then add our own logic to check to see what kind of page is being loaded, but that's overkill. It would be so much simpler to just use the template hierarchy WordPress provides out of the box. You don't have to write any logic. WordPress handles it all for us. Let's go back to the template hierarchy page. On this page, you'll find more info on how the process works and which templates have precedence over others. For example, if I scroll down further, I'll eventually find information about the 404 template. WordPress documents what template files WordPress will search for. It's usually best to go through this document to better understand how the template hierarchy works, especially if you have a hard time following the diagram. Another useful resource is this site called wphierarchy.com, which I also provide in the resource section of this lecture. It's very similar to the image we looked at earlier, except it's interactive. You can click on a particular template and you'll be taken to the page with relevant information. I highly recommend you bookmark this for future reference. After you finish this lecture, I also recommend you read this guide on how it works. In our theme, we will be creating templates for single posts, pages, categories, search results, 404 pages, and even more. Right now, I want you to go to your site and click on a single blog post. You'll see that WordPress takes care of querying everything and displaying only a single post. That's great, but there's a few noticeable problems. Our post is only showing the excerpt. It has this read more button, which we don't need, and it also isn't showing tags or comments. We could add logic to the index template to check to see if this is a single post, but I think creating a template for this would be so much better, cleaner, and efficient. Before we move forward, I want to talk about post types. Post types are a way to describe different types of content. If you were to go to the admin dashboard, then you'll see that WordPress provides two post types called posts and pages. If you were to view their edit pages, then you'll see that there are some similarities in terms of UI. However, they're meant for different types of content. WordPress provides you the ability to create your own custom post types, but we'll discuss that when we start plugin development. All you need to know is that post types are a way to categorize different pieces of content. The template we're going to create is a template for the post type. WordPress will look for 5 certain templates. First, it'll look for a file called single dash followed by the name of the post type and then the slug. For example, if I had a post with the slug hello, then the file name would be single-post-hello.php. This can be very helpful if you want to create a specific template for a specific page. WordPress really allows you to control the design of your site with the template hierarchy. The next template it'll look for is the single dash followed by the name of the post type. For example, it'll look for a file named single-post.php. Then WordPress will search for the single.php template, then the singular.php, and lastly, the index.php template. The index.php is the fallback template for every situation. This is why WordPress forces us to create it in order for our theme to be officially recognized. So you may be wondering, what's the difference between single.php and singular.php? The single.php template is custom post types only. This also includes the post type. WordPress provides its own post types. There's about 6, but we'll look into that later. This means that there's 2 types of post types, which are the ones provided by WordPress and ones that come bundled with WordPress. The ones that come bundled with the exception of posts, don't use the single.php template. Instead, they get assigned their own templates. The singular.php template is a universal post type template. It doesn't matter if the post type is custom or inbuilt, the singular.php template will be used. That's all there is to it. We're going to keep things simple. We'll be creating the single.php template. Create this file now. I'm going to just simply copy and paste the code from the index template to the single template. We can now begin modifying this template to suit our needs. First, I want to remove everything inside this div tag with the ID of posts and the pagination. I also want to remove the breaking news widget at the very top. Next, open the single.html template file inside the assets folder. I want you to look for the div tag with the class single-post. Copy everything here and then paste it in the spot where we deleted the previous div tag. So we're kind of back to where we started, but that's fine because this gives us the opportunity to fix everything. Unlike the index template, there are a couple of sections here we didn't go over. That's fine. I'll show you how to tackle those extra sections. For now, what I want you to do is to remake the loop and fill in all the blanks as much as you can. Pause the video if you need to. Alright, let's do this together. The first step is to check if there are any posts using a conditional statement. Then we'll begin the loop. Inside the loop, we'll call the post function. Now, I'm just going to cut and paste this code inside the loop like so. If you need a refresher, I suggest you rewatch the previous lectures if you were confused by what we did so far. At this point, the only thing we need to do is use template tag functions to replace the static content. First up is the actual post itself. Let's go through this one by one. Replace the text inside the tag with the title function. Echo out the date. Use the category template tag. Then use the comments number template tag. For the single template, we display more information about the author other than their name. In this case, we want to keep our code clean and not repeat code. The best way to do this is by using variables. At the top of the loop, I'm going to include the global post variable. This variable is created for you by WordPress. WordPress will define a lot of variables for you. This variable in particular will contain properties about the post. One of these properties is post author, which contains the ID of the author. Let's create a variable named author ID and set its value to post author. Next, create a variable named author URL and set its value returned by the getAuthorPostsURL function. Make sure to pass in the author ID. Now we can just echo out the URL and use the author template tag like so. For the featured image, I'm going to use the same code from the index template and paste it into the single template like so. I'm going to make a small modification. I'm going to remove this array since I don't need the fade effect. Let's move on to the content itself. Instead of using the excerpt function, we'll be using the content function. This function will display the full contents of the post, which is what we want instead of a summary. Lastly, I'm going to call a function called the tags. I'm going to place this function inside the div tag with the class tagCloud. This function will include all tags related to this post and take care of comma separating all the tags. It'll also generate a link for each tag. This function has 3 parameters which are all optional. We'll only concern ourselves with the first 2. The first parameter will display text before the tags. I don't want to display any text, so I'll just pass in an empty string. The second parameter will be the separator. I'm just going to pass in a space. The default value is comma. Let's check out the single post and see if everything is working. If you don't see tags, then it's probably because you don't have tags attached to the post. In that case, just quickly add some and then check back on the page. You should see something similar to what I have. We're almost done. There's actually a few things WordPress recommends we do to make our theme compatible with most WordPress sites. In the resource section, I provide a link to the Theme Development Codex. On the Contents sidebar, I want you to click Single Post. If you scroll up and down, you'll notice WordPress jots down some important notes for us to know when creating templates. You shouldn't consider these rules, but more as recommendations. So let's see what WordPress has to say about the single post template. The first thing it recommends is that we should call a function called WP link pages for paginated posts. What exactly does this do and how does it work? Well, WordPress provides a feature called paginated posts. Rather than create multiple posts, you can create one single post with page breaks. To test this out, you'll need to edit a post. Any post will do. Then, somewhere in the middle, add a block. The block you should add should be called page break. What this will do is break the content into multiple pages. This is useful if you have an extremely long post and would like to paginate it into separate pages. This way, you don't have to manually create a post for one long post and link all the posts together yourself. Save this and then let's view the post. You'll notice it won't work right away. This is because we haven't called the WP link pages function. Call this function right after the content function. Let's refresh the post and you should now see the post being paginated into separate pages. This is really great. The best part is we didn't have to do much to get this working. I'm going to provide a link to this function to learn more about it. Actually, now that I look at it, I want to center this. If we take a look at the documentation, you'll see it says we can pass in an array to customize this further. The before and after keys is the text/HTML that is displayed before the list. There's even an example usage provided. Let's use that and remove everything but the before and after keys in the array. Bootstrap provides a handy class called text-center, so we'll just modify this paragraph tag and add the class text-center. Let's refresh the page to see if our text is now centered. Let's keep going down the list. We're already displaying the title and content, so we can skip those. The post date is already being displayed. We're already displaying the categories and links, so let's skip that one. It's suggesting we provide an edit link, but I'm going to ignore this suggestion. If we were to view the post, you'll notice WordPress already provides this top bar with a link to edit the current post, so we don't need to add our own. Now, it's recommending we display comments and a form for submission. I'm going to cover this in a future lecture as comments deserve its own kind of lecture. So let's skip over this one for now and move on to the last and final point. WordPress now recommends we add links to any posts posted previously or after this post. We can do this by simply calling the previous post link and next post link functions. I want you to know that you shouldn't confuse these two functions with its plural form. The plural form is used for pages with multiple posts, while the singular form is for single posts. Inside the template, we have a section for the next and previous posts. Search for the div tag with the class post-navigation. There should also be a comment right above the element that says page navigation. Let's replace these static HTML links with their respective functions like so. Refresh the page and check if the links are working. WordPress will automatically generate these links with the appropriate title. That's it for now. In the next lecture, we'll finish up our template by adding comments and a form to submit additional comments.